Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Ravioli Queens podcast with your host, Nicole Ravioli.
Jasmine the Queen.
Boss Lady Amy.
Today, our episode is called Say What? We will be talking about miscommunication between healthcare workers, such as caregivers to doctors, doctors to nurses, and how that can get real fucky.
And doctors to patients.
Yep.
Sometimes they do not understand their orders.
No.
Not at all.
Or like the medical jargon.
Oh, yeah.
Like doctors who are like, they could just say, we need to remove your toenail. And it's like some big thing. Some long medical terminology words.
But a lot of times it's the doctors that do it just because they end up like saying like, oh, like your nurse can do that, or lab can do that, or
that.
like therapy can do that. And then they get down expecting us to do one thing and we're like, we can't do it that way. And then we have to explain to them that the doctors don't understand how things need to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to break it down for them, and you're like, well, technically we can't do it because compliance, and we're not licensed for that, and this, that, and the
it's
other thing.
It's outside our scope of practice is my favorite phrase to use.
Yeah, and they're just like, but why?
I just had a patient the other day that they said she didn't want to get a lab. She was supposed to come in for a lab draw, and she didn't want to get poked again, and they already put an IV in her. And they basically told her that we could draw off of her IV for her blood.
That's out of your scope of practice.
And I'm like, one, that's out of our scope of practice because we need a nurse to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they already used it for like the dye and stuff for her CT scan.
Oh, that's so bad. No. You can't do that.
I know. So we can't do it anyway. So we had to poke her.
It's a contaminated sample.
Exactly.
No. Literally.
It would have been different if they put in the IV
and then
had
like,
us.
oh, hey, do the blood draw.
Hey, can you come do the blood draw before we do anything else with this IV? That would have been different because it's fresh sample, fresh blood.
No.
Yeah.
I swear to God, doctors, they're so book smart, but they're so street stupid.
They're just stupid. They're really dumb, most of them. That reminds me of like when I had to go. You guys remember the story about when I told you I was married to my
ex-fuck buddy.
No,
the
ex-husband.
ex-dick donor.
He wasn't even that. Like pencil penis. Anyways,
5 seconds later, did you get off? I got off.
You're not wrong.
She's like, yeah, I'm aware.
The 4.5 years of faking it I had to do was not okay.
4.5
You
years.
knew how long I was with him. I've told you 20,000 times.
I know how long you were, but
Oh yeah, you like that? Yeah, I like that.
I guess I didn't realize that you had to
yes.
fake it that long.
4.5 years.
Oh, girl.
Anyways, so you guys remember the story about me being on pharmaceuticals, like the wrong ones, and I thought I was gonna die, and I went to the hospital, and it was like going to China because it was a really bad hospital.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So they had to stick me like 7 fucking times because I needed 2 IVs. This is where it figures into your story because I needed a CT scan, so one for the dye in this arm and one for blood draws and like fluids in the other one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if a hospital that's literally like going to China knows that, y'all need to do better. Do better.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously.
Like, I'm telling you, they didn't even have sharps containers on the walls. The nurses were just throwing the needles in the garbage cans. It was awful. It was fucking awful. And like me being a healthcare worker and going to school for phlebotomy first and all that stuff, I just cringed.
That makes my skin crawl.
I know. It was so bad. It was so bad.
Oh.
No.
Also, the reason I don't take pharmaceuticals anymore. Because I almost died.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fun story. You should tell that sometime.
Fun for who?
For us. Anywho's what's it? So there can be a lot of miscommunication between like
So for the trauma bond.
The trauma bond.
oh my god.
That shit has been done for a while.
Okay, we're continuing.
It can be a lot of miscommunication between a lot of caregivers too, or like nurses and CNAs needing one thing or assuming like this is what needs to be done, and obviously it like doesn't work that way.
No.
Or like we can't do it that way for some reason.
And also, it still stands need a doctor's order for like everything.
Mhm.
So if your doctor sends you somewhere and he or she does not put in an order, they're going to send you right back to the doctor.
Communication is everything.
I've heard that happens a lot too, where like the doctor will send them down, be like, oh, you can do this or whatever, but like they haven't even put in an order yet. Like there's no order for it. And I'm like, and then like the patient gets mad at you because you're not doing it. And I'm like, well, I can't do it because the doctor needs to order it. He's like, well, he just told me that you could come, that you could do it. No, I can't, not without an order.
Or I hate when they're like, oh, like you take a patient into the hospital or one of your members and they have like a cough. Oh, just go to the pharmacy, go get some over-the-counter cough drops. It's fine. No,
we need a doctor's order. And also, I don't know if you guys know this, but we literally need a doctor's order for fucking
everything.
Cough drops.
Mm-hmm. Like cough drops, any type of lotion.
Because it's considered a medication.
Anything, internal, external, it doesn't matter. Even if you're like a normal person who could buy this stuff on your own, no. You need an order when you're in a facility.
Well, it's a little different if they're with it and they can buy it on their own. Because if they go out and physically buy it by like themselves,
then we don't need a doctor's
because
order.
We're not.
It's their right.
So if they're able to administer their own medication, they're able to buy it on their own, and like they have an understanding of what it is and how to take it and all that shit, then it's fine. But if it's a resident who like we have something saying that they cannot do any of that, then we cannot have anything over the counter.
Or they have like a guardian or a POA or whatever.
Yeah.
Although if the guardian or POA buys it for them, then it's legit too.
As long as it stays in their room, but they have to know how to use it.
They can't be just like, oh, hey, I got this or whatever, and I need you to put it on me. No, you need to do that yourself.
They have to know how it works, and if they don't, they can't have it. Like, they can't take cough drops every 10 minutes.
Story time.
Okay.
Story time. So, Mama J's house, dude that ran over my foot with his wheelchair, was his own guardian.
She still never got that checked out, by the way.
No, and it hurts sometimes, but we're not going to talk about that. Anyways.
Because doctors are for what? Rich people.
Should I have gotten it checked out? Probably.
Can she afford to get it checked out? Probably not.
No. No. Sure can't. Still can't.
Literally.
My insurance doesn't start till February. So
as if it would cover that anyway.
But honestly, if it was like fractured or whatever, if it was fractured, it probably just healed funky, and now I'm going to be in pain for the rest of my life. It's fine.
Oh, we laugh.
It's fine.
We laugh.
Okay, so that guy was his own guardian, so he could have like Tylenol in his room. Mm-hmm. He would take like 10 at a fucking time, and they were the extra strength, like 1,500 milligrams.
Oh, I have a story after this too.
So we would tell Mama J about it, and she was like, we can't do anything about it. Like, he's his own guardian. And I was like, I know, but can't we like report it to somebody or something?
Right.
And that's where it gets hairy because there's nobody to report it to other than like
their caseworker or their doctor.
Yeah, his case manager. We did report it to her, and she had to like re-educate him with the nurse or whatever. And it like they were so ridiculous with him though. He was awful. He was awful and
I never
stupid.
had the pleasure.
I could not. Oh. It was so rude.
So I had a guy who so I always call him my old man or my pervy old man because he's just that way. And he thought it was hilarious and it was whatever.
She likes the attention.
Wow. Okay. More so, I enjoyed calling him that because he thought it was funny, and it's like, oh, hey, you think think I'm joking, so it works. But
Canceled.
so
Canceled.
So-
You're done.
You're done.
no, we seriously though we did have a good time, but like he had a literal toolbox that was probably about this big or so, just filled to the brim with supplements that he would take every day
Oh God.
Yeah.
on top of his medications. And then eventually we were able to get it out of his room because for the longest time he kept it in there and would just take however many he wanted whenever he wanted.
Mm.
And yeah, eventually
Can
we
you
were
say
able.
hypochondriac?
Hypochondriac.
Yay!
Eventually we were able to get it out of his room, but for a long time he was real mad at us.
I'm sure.
Oh my God.
We
And
would
that's
be like,
the thing about when residents vilify the caregivers to their families or whatever.
Really?
They took all my supplements out of my room. Okay, but did you tell them why?
mm-hmm.
I'm sure you didn't. You probably left that part where you were taking 20 of the same supplement out per day.
Yeah,
Probably.
he was just taking God knows what whenever. It was horrible.
Oh, I have another story. So, there was another thing that happened that the doctor told that the parents, like when we had to draw blood on a kid, that we can do just like the finger poke.
Mm-hmm.
And our policy is like to find a vein 1st.
Mhm.
That like finger pokes are like our last resort.
Mm-hmm.
So they came down. Of course, the parents are like arguing with us about doing a finger poke, and if we need a certain amount of blood, finger poke's not gonna work.
Right.
No,
Like,
especially if it's one of those tubes you have to have mostly full.
mm-hmm.
Well, and that's going to end up being more painful. If you have to poke them and then keep squeezing and squeezing
Right.
and squeezing.
That's more painful, and that's what we explained to them. That we're just like, a vein is like way easier. Once the needle's in or whatever, we can get the blood faster.
And yeah.
Like,
Did
That's
you
less
offer
damage.
a butterfly needle?
and then it and then it's like with a finger poke, like it could clot, it could like hemolyze, like you can't. No,
Right. No.
It doesn't work.
No.
By the time you would finish getting enough blood out of a fucking finger, it would all be clotted and it would have been a waste because they can't even use it at the lab.
Right. You would have to redo the sample.
And honestly, most of the time, the only time you do like finger pokes or heel pokes or whatever is on like newborns.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just use a lancet for that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but
Stupid.
I hate when they just tell people like when they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's not good. Not good.
Or especially the way that doctors think they can tell you about your own job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's like, dude, I may not be a doctor, but
Mhm.
at least I know my job.
I know, like some doctors think that they know it all or whatever, and they can do everything, but in reality, there's different teams and different group of healthcare workers for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we each specialize in our own field.
Right.
Okay, we all know our own jobs. I'm not saying that there's not shitty people in each aspect of every job, but
and no offense, a lot of doctors wouldn't even know how to do orders without their nurses.
most
No.
doctors wouldn't even know how to change a fucking resident. So
Mhm.
Most doctors fucking write up they have the nurse do it and then they sign it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've had nurses come in and basically tell me what was gonna get prescribed
yep.
and stuff, and they'll go ask the doctor about
I just
it,
need
and
to
then
go have the doctor sign this.
Yeah, the doctor will sign
Let
off
me just
on
go
it.
get the doctor's signature, but
He'll
yeah.
be like, "You're right. Okay,
This
here
is
you
what-
go."
This is what we're gonna do. You're gonna do this, this, and this. I'm gonna prescribe this. I'm gonna have the doctor sign it.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's like, okay, who's really running the show here?
Right.
Because it's not
For real.
doctors.
It's not.
They'd be lost without their team.
Mhm.
Could you imagine if they had to do it all themselves?
Oh god.
It'd
And
be
I'm
like
not-
every medical drama ever.
And it's not like we're saying that doctors don't work hard, because some of them do.
Oh, they
but
do.
a lot of them,
No, they do.
a very,
for sure.
very lot of them don't. Though
Mhm.
there are quite a few, the ones that work in urgent cares, walk-in clinics.
Right.
They're let me look at this book, match up the symptoms, and whichever one of the two you have more symptoms of, that's what I'm going to diagnose
Right.
you with.
Mhm.
That's literally their job. That's what they do.
And
Most
please
of the time, yeah.
keep in mind, like, this is based off of our personal experiences that we've had not only for
And it's
ourselves,
not-
but also taking our people
And it's
in.
not for
Yeah.
all doctors, because I've met like some really good doctors
Yeah,
that
yeah,
know
of
what
course,
they're
there's
doing
great
and they're
ones out
great at
there.
what they do.
But
It's like I said, everybody's got a shitty couple people in their field.
it's the
Mhm.
ones who just completely lose all sight of bedside manner, like as soon as
Oh
they
yes.
like get into that role fully.
Mm.
When they go from being like, what's it called? Interns? No.
Residents.
Mhm.
To like the actual like medical doctors.
I feel like the older they get, the less bedside manner they have.
Oh, for sure.
Mm.
Because they're like, oh, I've been doing this forever. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
Right.
I have tenure. They're never going to fire me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I feel sometimes too.
Mhm.
I personally like the more younger doctors. I don't like
Yeah,
having like an older
They're
one.
usually
Mhm.
nicer. Like they usually have better bedside manner because they haven't
Well, and
forgotten
they're,
all
like,
that yet.
Also, and they're like more updated with the times. Like they stay more updated and relevant. Like the older doctors want to go back to like a time where it was like
Like I'm
old
right.
fashioned.
I'm the
Yeah.
doctor. Yeah.
Like it was very old fashioned.
Yeah.
But like the newer doctors like keep up with like being able to put in orders, being able to like know what it's like, and they keep updated with like the different the basically the changing times and stuff. So
Nothing irks me more than when I take one of my people in that I know them like the back of my hand, and then the doctor is shocked when I'm right.
mhm.
Or when I like know what I'm talking about and they're like, oh, how'd you know that term?
Yeah.
Bitch, I've been doing this for 9 fucking years.
Right.
Yeah.
I yelled at a doctor one time or whatever because he was like talking down to a resident or whatever, like, and she was completely with it, but she was like in a home because she needed the assistance.
Mm-hmm.
But I literally like yelled at him. I'm like, you don't need to talk down to her. She's not stupid. She's not developmentally disabled or mentally challenged or anything in any way. Like you
They
can just
treat
talk
those
to her
ones
like a
worse.
normal person. Yeah, they do
Right.
treat those ones worse.
Oh, for sure.
When I was working at the behavioral home,
Mhm.
I had to take one of the residents up because he had like 3 grand mal seizures in not that long of an amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, my coworker took him up there. I met her because the doctor he had earlier in the day, like usually when he has grand mals like that, it's either he hasn't been eating enough or he's got fucking pneumonia. And we were guessing pneumonia because he had the cough to go with it. But the doctor never ran any tests. Like he never tested him for a UTI, never did any sort of UA screen, never did chest x-rays. Like we had told him earlier in the day, like, this is what you need to do because it's either this, this, or this.
Right.
And he literally just basically like looked him over and sent him home.
I hate when they do
Like-
that.
And then 5 minutes after he got back, he had a worse grand mal seizure where his lips turned blue.
See, I hate that. Like, I like the doctors that cover like all their bases too. Like when
Mhm.
they're like unsure about something, they can be just like, oh, like it might be this, but like I'm gonna test for this, this, and this just in case because I want to rule out anything else.
Like we know our people better than anybody.
Right.
We see them
And
every day.
I went back up there later that day and I met my coworker that relieved me from my shift up there. And I said, did you request a different doctor like I told you? And she was like, I did, and they still gave me the same one.
Mm.
So I got fucking pissed. I hit the call button for the nurse. The nurse comes in and I said, we requested a new doctor and you did not give us one. That is illegal. He has rights just like everybody else does. So then this dumb bitch goes and just like tells the doctor that we requested a new one. And then he comes in and asks why we're requesting a new doctor. And I was like, because you
don't
didn't
know
do
what
your
you're
job.
doing.
Right.
I looked at him and I said, this man has had 3 grand mal seizures in like the span of 2 hours. He doesn't do that normally. I said, anytime he gets like this, he's either malnourished because he hasn't been eating well, he has a UTI, or he has pneumonia. I said, my guess is pneumonia because he's been coughing a lot. And just because he can't talk like everybody else doesn't mean that you don't need to treat him the same way that everybody else gets treated.
Right.
I was like, he deserves respect and the best care possible like everybody else.
Yeah.
I said, and I don't want to see your face in here again. Get me a new fucking doctor. Those were the words out my mouth. I still remember the full conversation to this day. Yeah, I told him I didn't want him touching him.
Damn,
I was like,
Gina.
get the fuck out.
What did he say?
He was just like looked at me and I was like, you can go now. I was pissed. I was so mad.
And that's how you advocate for your people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can guarantee I know what hospital it was in too.
You sure do.
Because the doctors there are ratchet.
They're horrendous.
They're horrible.
Well, now they can't even like keep people.
No, they can't.
They can't keep doctors. They can't keep any of their staff, and the staff they do have, they keep laying off or like firing, getting rid of their position.
My new coworker said she did some clinicals in one that was around the area, and she said 3 nurses walked out and they couldn't keep it. And like some of their techs or whatever left, and one of the travel nurses had to fill in for the OR because she's scrubbed before.
No.
Oh, suck it, bitches.
Yeah, because
y'all gonna shut down.
At this point, they're gonna start asking the janitors to hop in. Jesus.
Well, I hear they're like they tried to like merge and their that fell through too because they didn't want to take on their debt.
Yeah, it did fall through.
It did.
It did.
They didn't want to take on their. I think it was like $9 million debt.
Yeah, really bad.
Really, really bad.
That's hilarious considering the company they were trying to merge with, because they're just as bad. Even they were like, nah, we don't want that. So funny.
I know, it's bad.
And you know, if the board would have done something about the old like CEO a long time ago, things would be fine and they wouldn't be in this much debt. But she just kept spending and spending and spending and like
and now they're in debt and now they're like shutting down different clinics and stuff that
Do
they
you
were
wanna
trying to open. Yeah.
Hear the best part. So an inside source told me that they're cutting like
Inside.
Shut up. Between 1,000 and 1,500 employees are going to lose their jobs.
Yep.
Oh, okay, that's really unfortunate.
I'm glad I
That's
dodged
the
a
part
bullet.
that
Yeah, you did. So did I.
yeah, you did.
I spent like 2 years trying to get in there for phlebotomy.
Dodged a bullet.
I got in there real
Dodged a
fast for
bullet.
phlebotomy, but I'm glad I
Well,
got
that's
out real
because
fast.
you did it after the pandemic.
Yeah.
I
The
was
pandemonium,
like
the panini.
21, 22, whatever the fuck age I was. Whenever I started caregiving that long ago.
I was not expecting that noise to come out of my mouth.
I don't expect any noises to come out of your mouth, but they do.
Well, why would you not expect that? Bitch, you know how much I talk.
I know you never shut up. Love you.
Look in the mirror, Holly.
For once it's
I do all the
not
time. I'm
me.
beautiful.
Oh, we know. You're something.
I'm surprised you didn't use the loud and wrong.
Oh my god.
You can be loud and wrong.
Well, Delulu is not the Salulu.
Anyways, miscommunication. It's a threat to society.
It's a threat to people's lives,
Yeah, it is.
literally.
It is. We just got to do better, communicate better,
Mm-hmm.
try not to step on other people's jobs, which causes a lot of the miscommunication.
It do.
Especially like between staff. That's really important too. Even just like giving shift report.
Right.
Oh, dude, sometimes shift report is like playing telephone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can clearly tell you the exact situation that happened, and someone else will hear it as something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I could say, don't give this resident a PR, this specific PRN until this time, and they take that as, oh, I should PRN them right now.
Right.
Or, oh, let me PRN them like at that time.
That didn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
No.
Wait, what did you say before?
I said I could tell somebody on the next shift, like, don't PRN them with this PRN until a specific time.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying like, okay. I had it backwards.
But reverse it.
That's what just happened. It was like,
Yeah. Anyways, anybody else got some closing thoughts?
Communication is key to everything.
Mhm.
Please
See,
do better.
I just had to clarify just there.
Yeah.
Communication.
Communication
You know
makes
what?
the healthcare
The
go
irony
round.
of that conversation, though, is like I said, it's literally like playing telephone, and someone hears something completely different from what I said, and you did.
Yep,
Mhm,
you did.
Exactly.
Oh, the irony.
Mhm.
But see, that's why you need to take the extra step and don't be afraid to be like, wait, sorry, what did you mean?
And that's why it's like a big thing to like verify.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
like when somebody like talks to you about something, you basically reiterate it by saying it back to them.
Okay, so
So
this
you know
person
exactly
can't have
what they did.
lorazepam until 9 p.m. Yes, that's exactly what I said.
Mm-hmm.
Simple
then
as that.
Got it. They can't have the raspberry until 9 p.m.
Exactly. That's exactly how you would do it.
Mhm.
Yep.
That way you know what they said and they also know that you understood what they said.
Yeah, and for some people, saying it back really does help them remember.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It does.
Like how Spunny remembers names.
Natalie! Yeah.
Oh, why did I just do that on camera?
Why do we do anything on camera? I'm not doing it.
Please?
No.
Just one time.
I can't right now. Anyways, you can find us on social media. You can find us on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Boss Ravioli Queens. You can also email us at bossravioliqueens@gmail.com.
For once, I made you laugh. Yes!
Stop
Also,
it.
please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell.
Until next time,
Bye.
bye.